Alright, so this is a basic demo of a 3D rendering system that I decided to try building in the new Screen Tech. So all it ends up using is draw line and draw triangle. And I had to do all of the vector math myself because right now the vector libraries aren't in place yet. Hopefully once they are, it'll be a little bit easier to do all of the manipulation that I need to do. So I started out by building just a basic cube. Just 30 pixels by 30 pixels. And set up a basic rotation on it. Once I got that going, I worked on figuring out how to get the faces in place. And at this point then I also added in some code to try and expand it out to take up as much of the space as it could on the screen. Unfortunately, there's something weird with it. As you can see, it bounces around a little bit, but it eventually stabilizes into place. And then I decided to try moving up to a slightly bigger polygon, so started trying to map out this guy. And once I got him going, then I decided to try making the classic Utah teapot. Doing so, unfortunately, the .obj file that I was importing for it, which I just converted to raw text, took up about 45,000 characters, and the screens have a 50,000 character limit. So, and they also have a certain amount of processing limit, so even just reading in that file, I had to split it up a little bit to distribute the load. It was a little overkill on how much I split it up. I probably could make that load faster, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't overload anything for sure. So I got it mapping out the classic Utah teapot in wireframe. Then once I got the wireframe one going, I decided to try mapping out the actual faces. At that point I had added a bit extra code, so I ended up actually reducing the quality of the teapot a little bit, so there's a few less decimal places on some of these vertex coordinates. You see I don't have anything depth checking to see if I should be rendering what's behind or not yet, because that would be a lot more processing time to try and figure that out, so maybe I'll add that at some point. So this one, the .obj file that I imported has a normal defined for each vertex, I think so that it can define like a curved surface, but that's all I could do here is draw triangles. I couldn't do that. So instead I just averaged out each of the vertices of the face to make a normal for that face. But I found I didn't really like the result. It looks a little choppy, and you notice there's a little bit of artifacting as they move out of view. They don't always pop out of angle at the same time. So then what I did was I took each individual face and built a plane out of it and took a cross product of the vectors to define a normal, and then compared it to the one that I calculated over here in order to figure which direction it should be facing, because that I was not clear on just from the math whether it was facing inward or outward. So just a basic, if it's within 90 degrees of this one, it's right. If it's not, it's backwards. And that's how I made this relatively smooth Utah teapot in the new screen technology in Dual Universe. So I'm planning to expand this to some other features later. Right now there's no data integration on the screen, so I don't have access to any data banks or the core for any information or anything like that. All I have is what's running in the screen, and I think it has mouse position as well that I could use. So before I expand this into anything particularly interesting, I think I'm going to need something a little bit more, so I think I'm going to put a hold on this project for now until we get some more features in here. Alright, so this is a basic 3D rendering engine in the new screen technology.